The most valuable thing in any company is the coworkers. In this video, we'll have a look at how you'll add new coworkers and control all coworker information and settings. When you need to add a new coworker, click New Coworker to get started. Fill in the coworker's email first, and then add the rest of the main details, such as name, mobile phone, and preferred language in the app. You can add external coworkers to your account. This could be consultants that are working for you, for example on a project or an auditor. Hit Register New Coworker, and a new coworker has been added to your Moment account. The coworker will receive a welcome email with details on how to log in. Keep in mind all information and settings for a coworker can be changed later. Now that the coworker has been added, you can go ahead and add more information. Get started by uploading a portrait. The coworker can change this later under My Pages. With the help of tags, you can categorize the coworker, for example, if your company operates with teams or departments, or you have specific roles and competencies. To change coworker information and assign access level, click Edit, and you'll access all coworker fields. If you have departments in your company, select the coworker's department at the top. Define the type of employment from the dropdown. Set the default role on projects, and the coworker will receive this role when added to projects. This can also be defined manually in all individual projects. The access role regulates which parts of your Moment account the coworker has access to. Have a look at our setup video to learn more about this. Hit the Save button to save all changes. There's a multitude of additional settings available for coworkers to be found under Settings. In the General tab, you'll regulate whether the coworker can log in, is currently hired, or should be visible in your company's capacity overview. You can decide whether the coworker is required to log their timesheet or not, and if any extra time is payable. At the bottom of the page, you can set up goals for billable hours and working hours. This is typically used for measuring invoicing rates. Get started by adding a goal percentage, and more options will appear. In the third column, decide if the goal is measured on hours worked or billable hours. You can even decide if the goal should be measured on specific types of projects, with the help of project tags, and if the goal is valid for a specific period. The checkbox on the right side determines if the goal should be visible to the coworker in their timesheet. You can add more goals below, and thus measure different performance values of the coworker. In the Hourly Rates tab, you'll define values for the coworker's wage, total salary cost, other costs, and sell prices. Keep in mind, only employees with the right access role have access to this information. Hourly wage is only used to calculate the value of banked hours and is not used in project accounting. If the coworker is paid by the hour, then add their current hourly rate. If they're paid monthly or yearly, then divide the number by the amount of hours in a working month or year. Total salary cost per hour is effective internal cost of the employee's hours. This is equal to their hourly wage, plus any other cost associated with their employment, such as payroll tax, vacation money, insurances, etc. We recommend using an average value for employees in the same salary range. Other costs per hour is used to account for common costs such as office space, equipment, and so on. This cost is typically the same for all employees, regardless of their total salary cost. Employee true cost per hour is the sum of the two boxes above. This value is what shows up at the cost in projects as the self-cost per hour, and represents the actual cost of working hours. If you sell your coworker's time by the hour, then you can use sales price per hour to define a default price. You can always override this within projects. Common to all boxes is that you can define a period the rates are valid. If you know that a coworker will get a pay raise from a certain date, or that you'll be increasing the sales price, then you can define a period on the rates and add new rows for the updated rate. The coworker schedule defines how many hours the coworker is contracted to work per day. The number of hours shows up in the coworker's timesheet and defines what should be considered banked hours, and is the basis for invoicing goals. If the coworker will have a future change in their working hours, you can predefine that at any point in time, and you can make variable schedules with less or more working hours on specific days. Moreover, the schedule defines the total capacity of a coworker when planning resources. If you know that the coworker will have reduced working hours for a period, it's wise to predefine this as early as possible so that it shows up in capacity overviews. Inside the Notifications tab, you'll determine which events inside Moment should trigger an email notification to the worker. If you require coworkers to lock their timesheet, then the checkbox below Time Records will ensure that your coworker receives an email the morning after the deadline if they have yet to lock it. The Notes checkbox will ensure that the coworker gets an email if they're mentioned within notes and comments, for example inside a project or task. Below Tasks, you can decide if the coworker should be notified about new assignments, and when a task's deadline has been reached. Finally, the Activities checkbox can notify your coworker when the deadline of a project activity has been reached. As we've seen in this video, there's a multitude of available settings for coworkers. This gives you full control over every little detail and helps adapt Moment to the needs of your organization.